Hi, welcome to the show. I'm Fazia Costi, and today we are meeting with Lorraine Maguire. Um, she is she's overcome many personal challenges in her life, and now is on a mission to help others rise above the beliefs that are holding them back. She's overcome alcoholism, drugs, low self-confidence, overeating, anxiety, panic attacks, and was single for over 11 years before transforming her life. And now she's in a loving relationship and has been for over 4 years. Today, she lives a full life, helping others transform their lives through her work as a rapid transformational therapist, hypnotherapist, and motivational speaker. So, welcome to the show, Lorraine.
Thank you, Fazia. That was a mouthful for you, wasn't
Yeah. Well, I'm really looking forward to this. Today we're going to talk about how beliefs created in childhood affect our ability to function effectively. And, I've heard many people talk about what, baggage we carry and how our childhood belief systems impact our future decisions, our adult decisions, how they impact how we handle money, how we handle relationships, how we handle every aspect of our work. It's just so impactful. So I'm really looking forward to having this conversation with you. Let's start off with what are beliefs?
Yeah, exactly. It's like something I didn't really even think about until I kind of came across rapid transformational therapy. I know, like that's what we all have. We all have beliefs. They're attitudes that our mind believes is true. So it may not be true, but they're, like the dictionary says, it's an acceptance that something is true, especially one without proof. So, we can pick up beliefs in childhood. We can even create new beliefs today. But basically, a belief is something that our mind believes is to be true. So when we were children, we believed in Santa, we believed in the Tooth Bunny, the Easter Fairy, whoever, Tooth Fairy. I got those mixed up, didn't I? But, like we believed in those things and they were just beliefs and they weren't true. So, I use dogs as a really good example to explain beliefs to new clients. So we could go down the road, Fazia, and you could have the belief that dogs are vicious and scary and dangerous, and I could think dogs are cuddly, fluffy, things that lick me or whatever. And we go walking down the road together, and we see a dog barking, and you go, scary dog, dangerous, it's going to attack us, it's going to bite us. And I'm like, oh, hello, cutie. Are you saying hello? Come on then, come and say hello. Same scenario, different beliefs creating our attitude or our response or our reaction. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's funny when you were talking about that. I had a similar experience when I was younger because I love dogs. And we had a German Shepherd, and one of our daughters had a birthday party. And we had some people come over and they saw the German Shepherd. And the first thing they had was a panic attack.
Yeah.
And it kind of ruined our party a
Yeah.
little bit, because our dogs were used to being part of our our activities, and she really had a hard time. The dog did, because we also had a lab at the time and a terrier at the time, and the German Shepherd was the only one this woman was afraid of, and it was because she had a bad experience
That's
when she
right.
was a child with a German Shepherd, not a lab, not a terrier, but a German Shepherd. And so it was very interesting. After that, I always made it very clear to people we had dogs, and
Yes.
you had to be okay with that if you're coming in our house, because it's not fair for the dog to be shunned
Yeah,
to a
poor dog.
bedroom while everyone else is having a good time. So I think those are very important things to notice, is that our beliefs do impact our everyday decisions.
Yes, absolutely.
So, how do you explain to your clients how beliefs are created?
Well, that's your example there is just so perfect, and you kind of stole my example. So
I'm
I love
sorry.
that. No, that's great. I love it because it all ties in. So, like the dog situation, and I love the fact that that was so specific to just German Shepherds,
Yeah.
yeah, like a lot of people will have so you may have experience as a child where you are attacked by a dog, or a scary dog does come up and bark. And
Hmm.
if the parent goes, "Oh, go away," and stays calm and relaxed and just tells the dog to go away, and the dog goes away and nothing happens. Sometimes the parent can panic and overreact, and then the child is watching this and goes, Mummy thinks dogs are vicious and scary, therefore I believe dogs are vicious and scary, and it gets imprinted in us. So sometimes it's not necessarily like I had quite a few dog experiences as a child, but I don't have a massive fear of dogs because there wasn't this overreaction and fear created. It was all kind of
Mm-hmm.
calmed down. But basically, beliefs are created through childhood experiences
Mm-hmm.
from parents, siblings, school teachers, our peers, if we've had abusers, and the mind makes an assumption. So it makes an assumption that something's true based on the experience. Now, it might not be true, but the mind goes, well, this must mean that I am. So this must mean that dogs are scary. This must mean that I'm not good enough. This must mean that I'm not lovable. Mummy and daddy fighting, for example, and you're watching this and you can't stop it. This must
Mm-hmm.
mean I'm powerless. So, like the difference I always say is like, here's a fact. A fact is I went to school, I made a mistake. The belief is I am a mistake. You know,
So
the
it's
fact,
internalized.
it's internalized. And sometimes people have these experiences and they don't end up thinking they're a mistake because of, the loving support around them. Other times people might have like, oh, why did you make a mistake? Why didn't you do better? Why didn't you try harder? So it can be all the things that go around it. Sometimes it can be one incident that creates a belief. Sometimes it's habitual. So sometimes it's thoughts that we think consistently and habitually. So we've
Like,
thought it over and
yeah.
over.
Like
Yeah. So
my person that came to my house that had that one dog incident, that was a one incident thing.
that's right. So one incident with fear attached can cause a belief for the rest of our lives.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes we can have similar situations happen over and over again. And so it's like, for example, fact, my mum wouldn't allow me to have the new shoes that I wanted, that everybody had, like, and for a teenager, remember that. It's like, everybody's got those shoes. Like it's just a fact. The fact is
Right.
that maybe we couldn't afford them. Maybe, that it just what they, yeah, probably couldn't afford them. Or I actually know today some of the shoes that I wanted as a kid, I've got really high arches, and flat-footed shoes were not good for me. So actually, my mum was going, "Those shoes aren't good for you because they're going to hurt your feet." But I didn't know that as a kid. What my mind decided was what I want, these shiny new shoes, is not available to me and never will be. So that then transposes to other things. The shoes the shoes I want are never available to me. The relationships I want, the friendships, the job, the career, the success, the health, the wealth, the money, it can expand to other things. So if I have consistent experiences, that keeps embedding those beliefs. That's how they're created.
It's
We
like you
can
pull the string and other things attached to it.
Yeah, like the magician with his
Mm-hmm.
scarves coming out of his
Right.
shirt. Yeah. So, so it can be like something factually has happened. Somebody maybe didn't listen to your feelings. Somebody didn't acknowledge your feelings. That's a fact. That happened. The internalized belief is my feelings don't matter. I don't matter. And then we end up with repressed feelings, which leads to addictions, and it leads to other issues in our life, depression, anxiety, all sorts of things, solely because of some situations. Some of us had situations that happened over and over again. So it actually feels like it's true.
You know what? I hear kids in my work as a coach, I hear kids say things like, I'm not worthy, or I'm not good enough, or, I'm just not good at school, or I'm not a good student, or, people don't like me.
Yeah.
And it may only be based on, they had one negative experience or maybe a small handful of experiences, but they've now generalized into a larger thought process. Is that how these really negative thoughts get
Yeah.
embedded and
Yeah.
created?
Yeah. So my clients will go back to, scenes exactly like that. So
Mm-hmm.
I had warts on my hands as a child, so I had lots of warts. I used to get taken to the doctors. They'd try and burn them off. We tried all sorts of old wives' tales, rubbing an apple on them, burying the other half of the apple, things that we'd been told would help. But I would go to school, I would get teased, I got called wart bum, kids wouldn't hold my hands. And so I was like, well, I can't connect, I'm different, I don't belong, I don't fit in, nobody likes me. And then I got very body conscious because it was like, very physical. It wasn't about me as a personality not being liked, it was attached to my physical being. So, these are situations that can happen. And of course, I would go home and be upset, and my mum and dad would support me and love me and comfort me. But then I'd go back into school, and the kids would tease me, and you'd go to sport. And if there was like dancing and you had to hold hands, I'd be last to be picked. All of those things
Yeah.
embed, I'm not good enough. I don't, and then you end up not liking yourself, and your self esteem gets lower and lower and lower.
So it's not necessarily like, because a lot of times when I've heard people talk about this, they say, oh, well, if your parents say that, money doesn't grow on trees, so we never have enough,
Yeah.
that's where your beliefs come from. Or they might say, money is the root of all evil. Therefore, you don't want money, you push it away.
Mhm.
So it can happen both internally, like you can come up with those generalizations on your own, or they could be from your family or friends.
Absolutely. So it can be something that somebody said to you. So somebody said that I was fat. Somebody pointed out that I had a bit of, belly fat. So then my assumption, my belief was, I'm overweight. I'm always going to be overweight. I'm always going to be fat. I'm always going to have this problem. They didn't say to me, you're always going to be, but that's how my mind
That's how
would
you
equate it.
generalized it.
That's
Mm-hmm.
how my mind took it on board. And of course, so many things go into it, society, what's going on around us. So it can be that they're created specifically from something that somebody says to us, or it can be from the situation. And our little brain is calculating what's going on and making up something. This must mean that I am. Because when you're children, you can't look up at parents and go, you guys have got some serious problems, and actually you're not very healthy. Say you're living in a family that's got addiction or
Right.
alcoholism. Like, you don't go, actually your drinking's really bad and it's naughty, and it's, you go, oh wow, this is what we do, this is what our family does, and you internalize it.
Yeah.
If it's,
If that's
you
all you
don't.
know, how would you
Yeah.
know differently? Right.
That's right. Now, as an adult, I can look at others' behaviors, and I can, have that perception and judgment of whether that's good or in my life, and say, actually, I don't want those type of people in my life. I'm not saying they're good or bad people. It's just that actually I don't want that in my life. But as a child, especially with parents and caregivers, you're dependent on them for your survival. So your mind doesn't go, you guys have got serious issues. It goes, oh, there must be something wrong with me. My
Right.
mum my mum didn't pay me attention because I'm not lovable, rather than my mum can't love me
Right.
because of her own trauma and because of her own history and because of what happened to my mum, or my dad's angry all the time, and so it must be because
Mhm.
I've done something wrong, I've caused it. The
Right.
child mind, that's how the child mind interprets it, like I've done something wrong, instead of actually that behavior belongs to you.
Yeah. Well, as kids, I think we are, when we're young, when we're children, we are very self-involved. We are very
Yeah.
self-focused, almost
Yeah.
narcissistic even, I think.
Absolutely. We are
Yeah.
just, like from 0 to 7, we're in the subconscious
Yeah.
brain wave of hypnosis,
Right.
basically. We're just sucking things in like a
That is
sponge.
very true. That is exactly what it's like. I know you're
Yeah.
a hypnotherapist, so am I. You're exactly
Yeah.
right. I always imagine the people sitting in front of a TV and watching the news, and they get all this information fed to them.
Hmm.
And then they go about and they go to a party the next week, and they have this belief, but they don't really know where it came from. So when somebody challenges it, they don't know how to defend it. And
Yeah.
instead they just get angry. Now
Yeah.
you are a bad person for even challenging me in my
Yes.
belief, not because I really believe it, but because I can't defend it. I don't know where it came from.
Yeah. And the mind is so strong, it will go to that defense. Like,
Yes.
I think of the mind like a childlike lawyer. So, like, it's very childish because it's picked up these beliefs in childhood. So,
Mhm.
and they could be very self-involved beliefs. It's all about me, or it should be all about me. Or everything happening is all about me. We don't have this understanding that other people's behavior is about them and their histories and their experiences. So it must be me. I must have caused this. And then the lawyer part goes to prove it. So,
Yeah.
somebody that comes to me who doesn't believe they're worthy or good enough, they will go to the supermarket to do their grocery shopping, and somebody will hit them with a trolley, and they'll go, oh, it's because I'm not good enough. I was in the way. I caused it. Instead of like, no, that woman had 4 kids hanging off the trolley. She was distracted. It was absolutely nothing to do with me. The mind's going, see, there's more proof. there you are, Fazia. See, you're not good enough. Look, even that person ran into you. Like that's how powerful
Right. And it
these
is
beliefs are.
powerful. It is
Mm.
powerful. Absolutely. What are
And a
some
lot
of
of
the
the
most,
time it's,
oh,
sorry,
go
I was just
ahead.
going to say, a lot of the time it's not conscious either. So I'm not consciously thinking that in the supermarket, but that's how I react, or someone with those beliefs
Absolutely.
would react. Yeah.
Absolutely. And you can even see it when you're at the grocery store, when you're at the mall, or at the park even. The how somebody reacts to you. Sometimes it's a little surprising, and you have to take a step back and think, wait a second, this had nothing to do with me.
Yeah.
This is all internal for them.
Yeah.
And it's just how they see it. It is their perspective.
Yeah. But
Absolutely.
when you've grown up with the belief that I'm responsible for other people's feelings, you even become responsible for strangers' feelings.
That is
You know?
true. I've seen people do that too, where they're like trying to calm the person down.
Yeah.
Whereas, for someone who might be a little bit more aware, they might just say, have a great day and walk away.
Yeah.
So yeah, absolutely. What are the most common beliefs that affect people's ability to function on a daily basis effectively?
Yeah, so the number one we've already mentioned, I'm not enough, I'm not worthy, I'm not fill in the blanks, I'm not smart enough, rich enough, successful enough, creative enough, slim enough, pretty enough. It can just be generalized, I'm not enough. And then when we don't feel like we're enough, we don't push ourselves for more. We don't take risks. We don't push ourselves to excel. We don't try to be our best because we've constantly got this program, this belief running that I'm not enough. I'm different. I can't fit in. I don't connect. I don't belong. That's also a massive one. So when we're children, we just want to fit in. We want to be the same. I like Barbie. I like Barbie too. And then the
Right.
kid's like, who's Barbie? I don't have a Barbie. Oh my God, you're so strange. You're so weird. How do you not know who Barbie is?
Right. Right.
You feel different. You want to connect. Then when we go to, function out in the world and we want to push ourselves and function effectively and be the best that we can be, we don't create our unique personality because we've tried to fit in and belong. So we've got this conflict between I've got to
Mhm.
fit in, but I've got to be unique and special and wonderful. Like, so we have these conflicting beliefs. As I've mentioned, what I want is not available to me and never will be. That is huge. I get so many clients going back to that. Money's not available to me. Like you said, money doesn't grow on trees, money's the root of all evil, things like that
Mhm.
stem from that. My job's not available to me, a career, a promotion. I'm always just going to be at this level. Happiness is not available to me. I get so much happiness and then I get shunted back down.
Right.
Um, I'm not significant. I don't matter. My feelings don't matter. That then means,
Sometimes people
again, we
do it
don't put ourselves out there.
sometimes people do it to each other too. Like I've had people tell me when I wanted to start my magazine, they're like, "Oh, you can't do that." And I turned around and I asked them, I said, "Okay, why not?" And they had no answer because
Yeah,
that was their internal dialogue.
yeah. I always say this is something I learned in Alcoholics Anonymous: one finger pointing out, three fingers pointing back at me. So when I'm saying you can't do it, it's actually because I believe I can't do it. When I'm saying you're not good enough, it's actually because I believe that I'm not good enough.
Yeah,
So
it's interesting. I've
we
never heard that before.
yeah, we project our insecurities, our doubts, our beliefs onto those around us, whether they have them or not. We project them. We accuse people of lying or cheating because we're lying or cheating. Like we project. One of the things that we do as humans, and we don't realize we're doing it a lot of the time. But when I
You're
think
very
that,
right. I
when I
as you point your finger. Yeah,
yeah,
I have noticed that somebody who I know has lied to me before will actually try to like convince me that I'm not telling them the truth. And you kind of have to look at them and say, no, 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 no.
yeah,
That's really not how it is.
yeah.
you know?
Yeah. It's like when I say accuse my partner of like eating too much junk food and I've been eating junk food and I'm feeling bad about it or something, like I'm projecting my feeling of bad about eating junk food onto him. What he eats is none of my business really, but
Right.
it's like this, if I'm actually doing okay in myself, I don't look at those kind of things. And so the more that we can clear these beliefs, like the one I mentioned about the mummy and daddy fighting and I'm powerless, or something happening to us when we're children and we believe that we're powerless, that then affects our ability to problem solve because we see ourselves as helpless, we see ourselves as a victim. That creates anxiety. So then we can't, if we believe I didn't make the right decision back here, how am I going to make a right decision now and in the future? I can't make
Right.
mistakes. I need to be perfect. That then leads to either overworking because we're pushing ourselves to be perfect all the time, or we go to procrastination because I can't do everything perfectly. So if I can't do everything perfectly, I'm not going to do anything at all, you know?
I
So
see that perfectionistic style of dealing with things with a lot of gifted people. I see that where they're not reaching that perfectionism, and so they just stop working because, well, if I can't reach that level of perfection, why try? Why
yeah,
even focus on doing it anymore? Just move
yeah.
on to something else or don't do anything.
Yeah, yeah,
It's
and
really
that then
fascinating.
you have you have massive lists, task lists of things to do that need to be achieved, but to actually think that I have to do every single one of them perfectly, oh wow, that's overwhelming, you know. And what is perfectly anyway? Because what I think of perfect and what you think of as perfect will be completely different, you know. So
Exactly.
it's like this unrealistic perfection, and it can be from experiences where you'd go home and you'd say I got 98% on the maths test, and your dad jokingly says what about the other 2%, and then you're like, oh, I'm only good enough if I get 100%, but I can't
Hmm.
get 100% all the time, so then I slack off and then I start drinking and drugging and smoking and doing all these other things because
Right.
what's the point?
And sometimes it's not even your abilities that are an issue. Some teachers just never give 100%.
That's right.
Some teachers will say, I don't give 100% because there's always room for growth. Unless, of course, it's a math test, then yeah, okay, fine. You got all the points, but for some teachers, they just don't do that.
Wow. I've never heard that, but it doesn't
Well,
surprise
I've been in
me.
the field of education for a very long time. There are teachers
Yeah.
that will not give 100%.
Wow. Yeah, because they just think that people want to keep striving
There's
and
always
yeah.
that room for improvement. There's always something that you could have done better.
Yeah, yeah. And it's kind of like that, don't get too big for your boots. Who do you think you are, young lady? Like you're not allowed to be too good, So like I've had experiences with clients where they've gone to scenes where they've been brought down because they're too intelligent, and then they've been you know,
Built
kind
back
of
up.
built back up, and they've got these conflicts like, I'm too good, I'm not allowed to be too good because then I'm going to lose friends, but I can't be too bad either because then I'm going to lose friends. And so how do I get this? And they're just constantly going through this conflict of pushing themselves. Oh, no, can't, like they can't quite reach the success that they want, because if I'm successful, people aren't going to like me, people are going to be jealous, have experiences. I'm going to negatively affect someone if I'm too successful, if I'm too good.
Well, you've
So
heard
they,
this statement, it's lonely at the top. Well, if I
mm,
get too successful, I'll be lonely. So I don't want to reach that level,
yeah,
but I'm okay here, just below that really high level. I'll still have friends, but if I get too
yeah,
successful, then yeah, it's not going to work out for me.
and that's the perfect example of how a belief is created.
Yeah.
Somebody saying it's lonely at the top, you know?
Right. I've heard people say things like that. It always
Mm,
shocks me when I hear certain statements because in my family we didn't talk like that. So it always kind of surprises me.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it's very fascinating. How do how do these beliefs affect us? Like, tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, so the beliefs affect us in so many ways. They can cause addictions, low self esteem, lack of confidence, anxiety, depression, overeating, workaholism, perfectionism, procrastination, like so many different things that these things can affect in us. So, like I said earlier, the mind's like a childlike lawyer trying to prove these beliefs. So basically, the thoughts and the beliefs that we think habitually actually become our reality. So if I'm constantly thinking I'm powerless, then I'm going to end up in situations where I feel powerless. If I constantly think that I'm not good enough, then I'm going to constantly feel not good enough. And when I don't feel good enough, why would I want to give myself healthy food? Why would I want to exercise regularly? Why would I want to treat myself well? Why would I want to push myself to excel, take risks, step out of that fear of loneliness at the top and actually go to the top
Yeah.
and see like, what is it like at the top? Because I can always go
Right.
back down, um,
Who
they
else
can
is
lead
up
to,
there?
that's
Maybe
right.
it's not so lonely.
I'm sure there's someone else at the top of the mountain, like, they can lead
There's
to
always the
repressed.
Sherpas.
That's right. Someone's got to help you to get there, right? We never get to the
Somebody,
top alone. That's right.
somebody.
Um, they can lead to repressed feelings, physical issues, you know. So, like, when we think, even if I just use that one example again, what I want is not available to me and never will be.
Mhm.
Every time I try and get what I want, something will come and block that. That could be my own self. I could start procrastinating, or I could stop taking action, or I could have an accident. I could fall over. I could slip back into bad, unhealthy eating or addictions because I'm getting close to what I've said to my mind I'm not allowed,
Right.
you
So
know?
you're starting to create ways to sabotage yourself.
Yeah, yeah.
Wow. Well, if somebody wanted to get in touch with you, how could they do that?
So the best way to get in touch with me is through my website, which is lorrainemaguire.com. So just lorrainemaguire.com, or I'm on Facebook and Instagram, Lorraine Maguire Therapy. I'm not hugely active on social media, but I am on there. So those are the best ways to get in touch with me.
Wow, thank you. If you're looking to get in touch with me, you can go to my website, executivefunctioncoachaz.com, and you can subscribe to our magazine, Executive Function Magazine, which is now a monthly magazine. So don't forget to subscribe, and then you'll get an email. Once you get that email for confirmation, make sure you click on that email, and then you'll get a copy of the magazine. You can subscribe to the magazine at any time. If you're looking to get in touch with me, we also have the mind print assessment that we're offering right now for $350. If you'd like to take that mind print assessment, you can give me a call at 480-648-1122, or you can send me a message through our website. Down at the very bottom of our homepage, there's a contact button. You can click on that and it will send me an email directly. And we'll be back after these messages. Hi, welcome back. I'm Fazia Costi, and today we're meeting with Lorraine Maguire. So welcome back, Lorraine.
Thank you.
So I would love to start with a new topic. How can childhood experiences affect our ability to learn?
Yeah, so I've actually got a client example for this because let's call her Mandy. Mandy came to me and she was struggling to learn. She's in her 40s and she's like, I want to learn these new things. I want to grow. I want to develop, but was really getting blocked and was really struggling to learn new things. So under hypnosis in the session, she went back to a 5-year-old who didn't know what was going on. She's just gone to school, first day at school. She's unsure what people are talking about. She feels dumb. English isn't her first language. So, you know, she doesn't understand at that age, well, the reason I'm not understanding it is because English isn't my first language. She just goes, I'm dumb. Straight away, there's the first belief. Then she goes to a scene where she's 14 and the teacher is saying, you're all hopeless. You know, you're never going to amount to anything and none of you are going to amount to anything. And basically, well, then what do you think? Well, I feel hopeless. The teacher's telling me I'm hopeless. Then she goes into a class and at the age of 15, she's trying to understand this new maths and she doesn't understand it. She actually knows on some level that she could learn if she paid attention, but by now it's not cool to learn. So she's been picked on and bullied for being smart and learning and doing her homework. So to fit in and be like everyone else, she has decided not to work hard. Then later on, she's 28, she's trying to go to university. They were given a problem to solve. She goes to the teacher and she's solved the problem, but the teacher doesn't understand how. She's got the right answer, but the teacher's like, that's not the way that I've done it. So then she feels like her thought processes are wrong, even though she got the answer right. So now she's in her 40s, and the part of her mind that was blocking her from learning says, I'm keeping you in your safety zone. Because implementing change, it changes things, and I need to maintain the status quo because that's what's
Mm-hmm.
safe. That's what kept her safe at high school when it
Mm-hmm.
wasn't, when she was in a classroom where she was told she was hopeless, and she was told, and when you tried to excel, the other kids felt bad, and so she needed to be the same as everyone else. Under hypnosis and in those sessions, it's about helping her to learn in a new way, that actually she does have the ability to learn. She's not a child now. She actually has English and Maori, so she can speak both her native language and, English. that she's not a 14-year-old with a teacher. We get, tell the teacher to get out of here. Who are you to tell me that, um, get her mind to understand that she's not doing this to fit in, that actually for her, actually learning is cool, changing that belief. So those childhood experiences set up in her beliefs that I'm dumb, I'm hopeless, I can't learn. And the truth was, it was like, actually, it wasn't that she couldn't learn. It was the fact that her mind had said, no, no, it's not safe to learn and just be the same as all these other dumb kids, and fit in. But she was never happy with that. But that's what her mind did to protect her and keep her safe. So then when she's trying to learn as an adult, she's just blocked. So clearing those beliefs, upgrading those things has then affected her ability to learn, because now she can learn, she can spend as much time as she wants in the library. It's her choice. No one's going to, and if somebody does say to her, oh my God, you're such a book swat, even at 44, she can be like, yeah, so what? So what, because she can stand up for herself now. She can speak
now
up
that
for
she's an
herself.
adult, she can say it's not your business also.
That's right. It's like, who cares if I choose to spend
Right.
5 hours at the library? It's something that I want to do. And she's now able to take on board all these things that she never thought she would be able to learn, because
That's
purely
awesome.
because of a belief. Yeah.
Yeah, no, giving somebody that freedom must feel so good for her and for you.
Yeah.
I know for me, whenever I help somebody and it works out really well, I feel good because
Mm.
they got what they needed. It really brings me joy to see someone else getting what they need and being happy and having that transformation that they need in their lives.
Absolutely. And you get clients going back to scenes where they think they're dumb or useless or incapable of learning, and it's because like they couldn't learn it maybe as fast as the other kids. So I had one guy, he went back to, like, it was like a study group, and everyone got in the study group understood it, and so he pretended he understood it even though he didn't, because everyone else understood it. So his three mates understood it, he didn't. But instead of saying, can you explain it again, he went, yeah, I understand it, but to fit in again and to be safe and to not be the one that stood out. But then he thought he was dumb. And I said to him in the session, did you eventually learn it? Do you understand it today? Like, and he's like, and I was like, did you learn how to write? Yes. Did you learn your times tables? Yes. Did you learn the dictionary? Yes. Did you? And so it's like, you can learn. It's just that your mind thinks you can't. It doesn't even see the truth of all the things that you have learnt, that you didn't learn it maybe as fast as your friends, but you did eventually learn it. So our learning paces might be different, but you got there in the end. I might have to read a
Exactly.
book. Somebody might read a book and get it in one time. I might have to read a book 3 times before I get it, but I still get it. I can
Yeah.
still do it if I apply
Right.
myself.
Well, let's talk a little bit about executive function. How can these beliefs affect our executive functioning skills?
Yeah, so like if you think of some of the executive functions like time management, so I'm lazy, I'm useless. I've always been told I'm lazy, oh, you're lazy bones, so how are we going to manage our time
Or
if
I'm
we
late
feel,
to everything. That's my favorite.
yes, yes, you're always late. Like always is like a programming word, right? And so organizational skills. I mean, we've got a saying here. I hope this isn't offensive, but you couldn't organize a piss up in a brewery, So and of course, you go to a brewery, there's alcohol everywhere, So you could, that you couldn't, or a bun fight in a bakery, And it's like you're told these things and you internalize them, So basically, I'm hearing I can't organize things, and so
Yeah.
then I go into the workplace and somebody says, you know, the job description, organizational skills. Oh, well, I can't, or I couldn't organize a bun fight in a bakery, so I can't go for that job, you know.
Hmm.
Um, Memory was a huge one for me. Like, you've got a memory
Hmm.
like a sieve, you've got a memory like a goldfish. I don't know whether that was true or whether I was just a kid and I wasn't really listening or paying attention because it wasn't interesting to me. I didn't want to remember it. It was boring or whatever. But you're told these things,
Or maybe
and
your
so
brain wasn't developed enough that, you didn't have those executive functioning skills.
that's right. And so then we go through life saying things to people like, oh, I've got a memory like a sieve. Oh, I can't remember things. Oh. And so then we're creating the very, memory problems. Focus and attention. You're told in a classroom, my report cards, she could do better if she just focused more and paid attention. So you're getting these messages that, oh, I can't focus, I can't pay attention. And then they go out, and we go out into the workplace, we go out into the world, we want to create the careers that we want, but we've got all these blocks and all these beliefs affecting
Mm-hmm.
us. Prioritization, if I don't think that I'm worth prioritizing, how do I learn to prioritize different things? If I'm not
Right.
worthy, I'm not good enough, that affects my ability to prioritize, to plan. Like when I lack a belief in myself and my abilities, it affects all of these skills that we want to function effectively out in the world. I'm helpless, I'm powerless, like I've said before. That has a massive impact on our ability to problem solve, because there's a problem presented to us and we freeze in the I can't do this, I'm powerless, I'm helpless. And these things aren't always conscious, so I'm not consciously necessarily thinking all of these things, but because these beliefs are so embedded in me, they manifest as procrastination, as avoidance, as the freeze, not doing anything. They affect us in so many different ways. Some of them might be these, just the way we talk about ourselves,
Right. And your
and
subconscious is always listening. So
always.
whether you're listening consciously or not, your subconscious is always listening. So what you tell yourself is important.
Yeah. Yeah. So, for example, I had a client who came to me for procrastination and decision making. And he went back to a scene where he was abused as a child. And when the abuse happened, he didn't know whether to tell his mum and dad or not. He didn't know what was right or wrong. He was worried about hurting his mum and dad. He was worried about getting in trouble. He didn't know what to do, what was the right thing to do. So he did nothing. And then his mind was like, you can't make a decision now, you won't be able to make decisions in the future. You
Mm.
don't have the ability to make decisions.
Wow.
So I'm preventing you making decisions because it's easier. Because if you make a decision, someone's going to get hurt. The abuser's going to get hurt and get in trouble. My mum and dad will be hurt because of what happened, or maybe they were partly to maybe they were involved somehow, like they brought this person into the child's life or whatever, so they didn't so all of these things led. And you would think, well, hang on, how has abuse led to that? But this is how trauma can
Yeah.
affect us in so many different ways. Abuse led to him having an inability to make decisions and to procrastinate in his life. And
Wow.
then that affected him in the workplace, that affected him in relationships. Anytime he had to make a decision, he would procrastinate about it for so long until either somebody else made the decision or the decision got taken out of his hands because of time. So,
Fascinating. Mm-hmm.
yeah. And like you say, the subconscious is always listening. If I say I'm a loser, then I'm going to feel and act like a loser. My
Mm-hmm.
mind, the subconscious mind doesn't care whether it's real or imagined, true or false. It just accepts it.
Right. And whatever your definition of that is,
That's right.
everyone has their own definition of what that means for them.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, let's talk a little bit about rapid transformational therapy. What is that?
Yeah, so rapid transformational therapy is a therapy that was created by a woman called Marissa Peer in the UK. And she's been a therapist for over 30 years. And she took all her experience and put rapid transformational therapy together. So I trained with her in London in 2017. It's a hybrid therapy. It combines, beneficial principles of hypnotherapy, cognitive behavioral therapy, neural linguistic programming, psychotherapy. It takes different modalities and she's put them into a method that helps people transform these very beliefs that we've been talking about.
I love
So
it.
yeah, it's amazing. It's transformed my life and many of my clients.
And how long did it take you to become a rapid transformational therapist?
So I did the was it 2 weeks? 2 weeks intensive in London, and then there was a year of online training. But after the 2 weeks, I was seeing people straight away. So, like I was learning and practicing as I went. So, yeah. So, and then of course, ongoing, I'm continuously upskilling and continuously learning. But yeah, the 2 week intensive, I'm not sure how it's run now, if it's slightly different, but there's online learning versus the in person. And I did a mixture of both.
And how long have you been doing this?
Over 5 years now. So I started in July 2017.
Wow. You started in July, so you didn't get sick that July.
I didn't get sick that July. Yes, we were talking just about how I had a pattern of being sick. Yes. And I'm like, was I sick that July? I don't think I was. Yeah.
That was a good year for you.
That
I
was a
love
good
it.
year.
So, how does it help your clients change their beliefs and function more effectively in their lives when you use this type of therapy?
Yeah.
What does it really do for them?
Yeah, so I believe like the mind is like a computer, and just like a computer, the mind has rules. So, like if I say to my, say, for example, my email inbox, if I say, always send Fazia's emails to my radio interviews inbox, then that's a direct instruction. That's what my computer will do. If I say never open Fazia's emails, it will send them to spam, and we can program things like that. And
Right.
so with rapid transformational therapy, in sessions with clients, I help them uncover these subconscious beliefs that we've been talking about and either upgrade them or delete them. So just like I upgrade the software on my phone, even my watch, my laptop, like these days, why wouldn't I update the software of my mind? So we go back, we find the software where it was created in the past. We see what that software is that's running, what's the beliefs, what are the programs that are running, what are the rules of the mind. So like the mind loves what's familiar. So it might just be a familiar pattern. Oh, I drink because my family drank, my friends drank. I don't actually want to be drinking, but this is what you do. Um, we find those, we upgrade them, we delete them, we transform them. I send my clients away with a hypnotic recording to listen to. And then after a certain amount of time, I check in with them and see what transformation's happening. That hypnotic recording is rewiring the subconscious mind.
And how
So
often do they listen to that recording?
every day. Yeah. So every day for minimum of 21 days. It can be longer. Like some clients need, if they've had something in their life for 20, 30, 40 years, 21 days might not be enough. Sometimes you'll need more than one session. So everybody's different for the amount of sessions that they'll need. But basically, under hypnosis, we can go back to those memories, back to those times that created the issue in their life. So, what is the issue that you're facing? And then what's underneath that?
How do
You
you
know?
find that issue? Is that through hypnosis? Is it through, having a conversation with them? What do you do to find the issue?
Yeah, so some people will come to me and they'll say they're really clear, so I want to lose weight. I want to stop drinking. I want to, make better decisions.
Okay.
Some people have got lists of things that they, like, or it's just like some people actually know they don't feel good enough. So sometimes that is the issue. So I always say to people, what's the thing that's causing you the most distress in your life? So if they've got multiple issues, I always say, what's the thing that's causing you the most distress or the most discomfort? That's the thing that we start with. So that might be, my time management skills. That might be my poor memory. That
Mm-hmm.
might be, an addiction. That might be anxiety, panic attacks. And so that's where we start. And then I'll be like, I'm taking you back to the root cause and the reason for this symptom, for the panic attacks, for the
Mm-hmm.
anxiety, for the poor time management, for the perfection and procrastination, etc. Then your mind will naturally take you back to where these things started. Memories where something's happened, a situation in your life where your mind has made it mean, this must mean that I'm helpless. Oh, my mum says I'm lazy, so I must be lazy. My dad says I'm undisciplined, so I must be undisciplined. My friends don't like me because of something that happened, so therefore I'm not likable. And we find these things through multiple scenes, multiple different techniques within a session to then upgrade them. And I will try and use as much as possible the client's language and the client's words. So if a client goes back to scene after scene after scene where they say, I'm not lovable, I'm not going to do them a recording that says that you're worthy and enough. I'm going to do them a recording that's going to tell them that they are lovable and give them examples and proof as to why they're lovable. And most clients can go back and comfort their younger self and go, you know what, you did the best you could. This is what happened to you, but it's not who you are. This isn't true. You like using the guy previously or the lady previously, you did learn, you can learn.
Right.
Like just because a teacher said that you're hopeless, that's not true. That was the teacher probably having a really bad day and just going, you're all hopeless. And
Right.
you don't need to take that on board. And so upgrading and changing those beliefs. most of the time people are really good at going, but that's not true. Like, so
Mm-hmm.
they go, what are the beliefs? I'm not good enough. And then they themselves will go, but that's not true. I am good enough. So then it's just the disconnect between the subconscious and the conscious, and we bring
Mm-hmm.
them to equal each other. I am enough on all levels. I am worthy. I am lovable. I can learn. I can do this. I've
I
got
love
this.
it. Do you hear from your clients like maybe a year or 2 or 3 or 5 years later where they've done the things that they want to do?
Yes, some of them I have. Yeah, like one lady, she came to me. She was what I call a one session wonder because she was almost agoraphobic, almost hardly leaving her house. And she had one session, and I explained to her, after the session, this is about belief. You can choose to believe this has worked for you, or you can choose to believe that you need 15, 20, 30 sessions. Like, what's your choice? I probably did myself out of some sessions there, but that's okay. And, like when she contacted me, she'd gone for a promotion at work. Her bosses had been like, what? Like she was asking for more work to do, and she'd been the kind of quiet mouse just doing the bare minimum to get by. She had accepted all these invitations that people had constantly been inviting her to. She'd started going to all of these things. She'd booked a trip to go overseas. She'd started salsa dancing. And I was blown away because she had one session and the anxiety was so strong in her that I was thinking, wow, she's going to need a few sessions to break through this. And literally, she had one session. I've got some clients that have done work with me on certain issues and then come back to me a year later and been like, that was so successful. I've now got this issue that I want to work on. So I have
That's
different,
nice.
yeah, so I have different ways of working with people. I have, like people that can just do the one session. I've got a 9-week transformation package where you see me once a week for 9 weeks. I've got a 3-session package where you see me once a month for 3 months. I've got different things depending on, once I have a chat with a potential person, what their issues are, what they need, what support, what level of accountability. Some people need a little bit more pushing, some people can self motivate,
Mm-hmm.
so I kind of work with each different client on what they need, as opposed to this is the way that I work and only the way that I work.
Yeah, no, I love it. I love that you really customize this to your client. And I love that they call you back and tell you their results later. That's really important to see what their transformation has been.
Yeah, and it's good
Yeah.
because I get people like referring and they'll say, oh, so and so referred me because, you helped them so much. And I'm like, who was it again? And I look up at their client and I go, oh, yeah, that's right. Because I can't remember some of them for over 5 years. And I'll go and they go, oh, they're so happy and life's so good. They sent me to you. I have a follow up process myself that I do follow up with them. So, some people get back to me, some people don't. And you never know why. It could be that they're having huge success, or it could be that they're feeling like they haven't done the work or something, because I
Right.
can't I can't come into your bedroom every night and put your hypnotic recording on for you. There's some things we have
But
to do
why
ourselves.
not?
I know, right? If only I had that power.
Well, to be that powerful is impressive. So let's talk a little bit about the advice you would give your our listeners who are wanting to function more effectively. Are there any tips that you can give our listeners that might help them improve their lives?
Yeah, so I think the number one thing is to start becoming aware of your language. What are you saying? What are the words that you're saying either out loud as you talk to people or as you are thinking about yourself? And then flip the script. So, like if you're catching yourself, so for example, I used to go to see friends, new people, go to a meeting or something and say, how are you? And I'd say, I'm busy and tired. I'm tired, I'm tired, I'm tired.
Mm-hmm.
And I was tired all the time because that's what I said. So I started to flip it. I'm full of energy, or I have enough energy to do all the things that I need to do. And now that's true. So when someone sees me, if I go,
Yeah.
I'm tired, I go, oh, I'm feeling a little tired at the moment, but actually I'm over good. I catch it really quickly because I don't want to embed a
Right.
new thing. I have a memory like a sieve. I say every day in the shower, I have an incredible, awesome, amazing memory. I've got a memory like an elephant. An elephant never forgets. So
Right.
flipping the script. Now, it might not be true at first. So when I first started doing this, I came across Marissa through her YouTube videos, and I saw a video of hers that was all like, I'm not enough. And she says, put I am enough on your mirrors, write it everywhere, put it everywhere. I mean, I've got up there, I'm strong, I'm beautiful, I'm enough. Down in front of me here, I've got I am enough. Around the corner, I am enough. On my mirrors, I'm enough. I just put it everywhere. And I started saying it even though I didn't believe it. I started saying I'm slim, fit, and healthy when I wasn't slim, fit, and healthy, So it's catching those things that you say about yourself, catching those negative beliefs, becoming aware of them,
Mm-hmm.
and then writing them out loud, saying them out loud. Get your voice memos and say, Lorraine, you are enough. You are worthy. You are lovable. You've got an amazing, make yourself a little recording. Listen to it every single night. Go to sleep to it, wake to it, walk to it, drive to it, like program your subconscious with repetition, because your mind, like a computer, learns through repetition over and over and over, and then it becomes true. So I started doing all these things when they didn't feel true. When
But
I was
now they
having
are.
Yeah, when I used to do things like this, I'd have a panic attack beforehand. I'd be deep breathing. I'd be like, my sweating, and now I just tell myself I'm calm, relaxed, and confident. I'm calm, relaxed, and confident. And that's become my reality. I am calm, relaxed, and confident. But I had to tell myself that first before it became true.
I love it. Last question. What advice would you give your 20-year-old self?
Ooh, my 20-year-old self. Okay, so I was drinking quite heavily at 20-year-old. So I'd say stop drinking. You don't
Step
need to
one.
drink. Step one, stop drinking, which I did at 24. So she wasn't too far behind. But I would actually just tell her that she is lovable, that she is likable, that she's funny, that she's smart, that she's creative, that she can do whatever she wants, that she doesn't have to fit in, that she can be herself, that she'll still be liked, and when she grows up, and when she becomes old, like I said the other day, if I could look back at my 24-year-old self and when I got sober and say, you'll be 45, you'll be going to morning raves, you'll be dancing for 7 hours at music festivals, you'll be living the life of your dreams, you'll be swimming, dancing, running, bouncing on trampolines, and you'll be 45 and you'll be sober doing everything, I wouldn't have believed it. So I think I would have told my younger self that you can do this and just believe it.
I love
Believe
it.
it is possible. Yeah.
And how can someone get in touch with you again?
So yeah, contact me on lorrainemaguire.com or find me on social media, Facebook or Instagram, Lorraine Maguire Therapy.
Thank you so much, Lorraine. It's been a pleasure. And if you're looking to get in touch with me, you can go to executivefunctioncoachaz.com. Make sure you subscribe to our magazine, Executive Function Magazine. It is actually going to be a monthly publication starting January 2023. So we'd love to send you a copy. If you're looking to write an article for the magazine, you can send me your request via our website. Our contact page is the very front page, and there is a contact tab on the bottom of that page. If you'd like to be on the radio, please send me your information there as well. And I just want to give a quick shout out to our listeners. Without you, this would not be possible. So I want to say thank you, and we'll see you next time.